Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moliwanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored and so delighted that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Sarah Tucker. She is here to celebrate her wonderful series. It's called The Adventures of Harry and Friends. Before we invite Sarah into the studio, we want to invite you to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. We are at Reading With Your Kids on Pinterest. We're at Reading With Your Kids on TikTok. And if you're a Twitter follower, please connect with us at Jedley Magic. We also would love to have you visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. We would love for you to sign up for our free newsletter. We are revamping the newsletter and debuting the brand new format towards the end of April. I'm really excited. We're going to be featuring author profiles, recipes you can create with your kids at home, activities you can do with your kids, all sorts of fun stuff. You get it all free by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. There's also a contact button at the top of the page. Feel free to use that button to let us know what we're doing right here on the podcast, let us know what we could be doing better, and let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Join us right now from somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. Our guest is here today to celebrate a really powerful series of books. They're called The Adventures of Harry and Friends. Please welcome to the show, Sarah Tucker. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and thank you so much for having me.
I have to tell you, this is the first interview where our guest has been floating in the ocean. Very cool.
Yeah, you never know. Something might just jump out behind me.
Well, it's fitting. We're talking about the adventures of Harry and Friends, and you are on an adventure headed perhaps to the Bahamas, and that would be wonderful. Tell us about the series. This is a powerful series. It talks to kids about some really important social-emotional lessons.
Yes, The Adventures of Harry and Friends is based off children I've worked with throughout the years at my husband's martial arts school. So each of the books and stories are based on different problems or issues that I have seen over the last 30 years with kids. And so as working with them, we've developed an entire character development program that go along with the books, solving each little problem the kid has, from being responsible to perseverance to making good choices, to be honest and think before they talk. From focusing and self-control. So we wanted to make sure that the series not only entertained them, but also gave them a life lesson. And that's what The Adventures of Harry and Friends is all about.
I think that's so wonderful. A lot of time, I think a lot of folks out there, they think, martial arts, just people stomping each other, and it's all about fighting and being aggressive, and it really is the opposite.
Yes, it is complete opposite. It is about controlling your emotions. It's about focusing, and it's okay to stop and pause for a minute and think before you act. So you have a lot of kids out there that are being bullied and don't know how to deal with things. But when they join a martial arts school, they're learning these different ways of involving their emotions and problem solving at the same time, and learning self-defense. So in the books, we're not promoting violence. We're not promoting punching and kicking things. We're talking about stepping back and setting goals and persevering. And that's really what martial arts is about. It's about persevering and not giving up on your goals and being able to stand up for yourself if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I studied martial arts for a short period of time in my life in high school and college, and it was very different than I went in there with that mindset that I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be able to learn how to beat up everybody, and instead it was going in and learning, really, as you said, learning how to plan. Yeah. How to get from point A to point B, wherever that is, and figuring out the steps that you need to accomplish to get there. Has this always been what martial arts is about? How come that we have this one image, and it's really the reality of it is completely different? How do you think that came about?
It's media. It's selling tickets. It goes back to the Roman days in the arena. People were all about the rah-rah and the violence, but when they come down to the actual training of martial arts or any type of sport, it comes down to hard work and focus and perseverance. A lot of people give up when it gets closer and closer as they get higher up in belts, and they just quit, and they don't persevere. And what martial arts helps them is, even though things are hard, you can keep going and just take little steps, and you will accomplish things. And that also goes over into their real lives, into, let's say they're growing up and they have a job opportunity, but it's hard to get that job because there's a lot of other people wanting that job at the same time. So you have to make small goals and step up to those different goals to be able to accomplish that and get that job that you want when you grow up. And I think with the children's book series, it does talk about that. Like, we have the I Quits book, which is all about jealousy and anger and losing your temper when you don't get your way. But we don't always get our way. and we also find sometimes that we're jealous of other people's, of what they have or what they've accomplished, but they don't realize what that person had to do to accomplish what they have. They don't see the behind the scenes hard work, perseverance that person had to do to become a millionaire. And so we're stepping back and showing the kids that it's okay to stop. It's okay to think before you act, and it's okay to fail. But what it's not okay is to give up on yourself and to try again. And then we've got, the whole What Should I Do book, which is, if we make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake. But what do we choose to do with that mistake? Do we lie about that mistake, or do we tell the truth and just take what comes and just go from there? We teach the kids to critical think in this book about, well, I have this choice and I have this choice. I could lie, or I can get in trouble, or I can tell the truth, still get in trouble, but I keep my parents' trust or my teacher's trust. And that's so important. When we have Harry and the Broken Toy, that is about responsibility and manners. We've got a lot of kids who go to other people's houses and just totally trash their homes because they just are in the play zone, and they don't think about, well, if I don't pick up after myself, maybe they won't want me back. Or what happens if I leave a toy down and someone steps on it and it breaks, and how would that person feel? So we go over those type of things in these book series, and it all ties back to the martial arts teachings as well, which is really cool, because the kids in the books, they like, well, don't you remember what instructor Dan said about this? And they remember that. He's our little Yoda character in the book, the instructor that sort of guides the kids through their ups and downs and gives them some wisdoms. And then we also have their parenting figures and their action figures, characters that they also look up to, like our kids today look up to Spider-Man or Captain America. Well, they have Captain Karate Man and the Black Beetle in their world. So I try to tie in today's reality and what the kids are going through today, and what they're learning in school, what they're learning in homeschool, what they're learning in their martial arts, what they're learning in all their other sports, from soccer to basketball to swim to tennis, into this series to help them navigate life and become good adults and be mentors themselves.
Yeah, I love that. You know, that book about making good choices. I think some people in Washington could use that book, and you know, some of the leaders of some major institutions around the world could greatly benefit from that book, because as history shows, it's the cover-up that is always the worst problem.
Totally agree with you.
Now I know the basis of the books are, you know, the memories and experiences that you had with kids in your husband's karate class. But had you always thought that one day we're going to take these experiences and create a children's book series, or was it just like a wake up in the middle of the night and think, I should write a children's book?
Actually, that's a great question, because I created Harry when I was 15. For a creative writing class when I was in 9th grade. And to be totally honest with you, I'm a terrible speller and I'm terrible at grammar, but I had an amazing teacher who influenced me, because I had dyslexia, or I still have dyslexia. So you know what that is. Mm-hmm. So she's told me that I had one of the most engaging, overactive imaginations, and not to let my disability stop me from my dream. So I've always dreamed of writing and creating new worlds and different stories. And with that encouragement, this bloomed. And I wrote a Christmas story. The true meaning of Christmas was originally Harry's first book when I was 15. And then when I met my husband a few years later, several years later, but he asked me, he goes, can you please entertain these kids? Because it was around Christmas time, and I was like, all right. So I sat down and I told them the story of Harry. All of a sudden, Harry just popped back into my head, and the kids were engaged into Harry, and I was sketching him up and showing him who he was, and then we started creating more and more stories, and some of the kids that were sitting there with me, I was adding other characters, and I was like, you look like a rabbit. And the rabbit's named after that child. And so all of this evolved since I was 15 years old. And then from there, he goes, this is awesome. Can you make me mat chats? Can you do something that will help me teach character development to my youngest students? Because I had them so engaged. And I was like, okay. And so I studied, I worked with counselors and therapists and teachers, and we developed a character development program that actually martial arts schools around the world, from Australia to the UK, and all over Canada and the United States, use to teach character development to their children. And since COVID hit, a lot of martial arts schools had to close down because of COVID. But my mission was still there. My mission was still strong. And I had all these stories. So I was like, you know what? Let's start putting out books. So if I can't reach the kids in the martial arts industry right now, and we don't know how long that's going to last, I said, but I can reach the parents. And so that's what we did. So we started releasing the books about a year ago during the chaos of COVID on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble.
That's and again, a great story of resilience. You know, you and your husband and all of the world faced this pandemic, and you didn't let it get you down. You had a mission, and you just found a different way to accomplish the mission.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it really is, I think, a great testament, because it's one thing to talk the talk, but it's another thing when people see that you're walking the walk, and they're seeing that this is really important to you. It's something that you and your husband are passionate about. You've worked hard on it, and you're not going to let a silly old pandemic knock you out of the box.
Yeah, it did knock us down, and the books are coming out strong. We've got a few more already in production, because my background is film, so I say production. Mm-hmm. So we're always writing up scripts. We're storyboarding, and we're getting ready for the fall for a new release as a new series within the series that is going to be more interactive.
Oh, neat.
And there's going to be some very cool surprises in the books for the kids. Some pages may just come to life.
This
Who
is
knows?
intriguing. Hey,
You're the first to hear about it, and your audience.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything at all. But I wanted to go back to that teacher when you were 15.
Yeah.
And who really encouraged you, and could have been like a lot of teachers saying, you can't spell, you sloppy handwriting, and and just focus on that. And she encouraged you, and that made a difference in your life. I had a similar music teacher when I was in the school orchestra. I was playing drums and percussion, and when we would take the songs that were on the radio and play them in the orchestra, and I was supposed to sit there and read the sheet music and go play very boring. I couldn't do that, and I would just improvise. And people would just kind of, in the band, would just kind of make fun of me. And, you can't read music. And my band leader, my music teacher, Mrs. Fleck, said, dude, you're great. You're awesome. I want you playing all of those songs. And she encouraged me. Let's give a shout out to that teacher. What's that teacher's name?
Oh, honey, I actually cannot remember her name, but I can remember her look and her smell. And she smelled like vanilla. She did. She had short hair. She was about as tall as me now, about 5'5". But she was amazing. And I really wish I could shout out her name, but I honestly can't.
Well, we'll just give a shout out to Mrs. Vanilla.
Mrs. Vanilla.
There you go. Awesome.
Mrs. Vanilla. Because not every kid learns the same way.
Right.
And she recognized that. And not every kid is going to be a doctor, and not every kid is going to be a scientist or a musician. What she did is she found my passion and helped me with developing that, even though with those disabilities. And that's what makes great teachers, is teachers that look at a child, not as a number and not just as a student, but as a child, and goes, this kid is really good at art. This kid is really good at math or music. But they learn this way. Well, let me figure out a way to reach them on that level that inspires that child to become the best and in what they're passionate about. And that's what makes great teachers.
Yeah.
And there are so many great teachers like that right now. And I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I like to see them inspiring. I want to be part of that too. I want to help them inspire the kids and find that child's passion so they can explode and make a difference in the world.
Awesome. Well, you gave us a little sneak peek of the future of the Adventures of Harry and Friends series. What's available right now? If people wanted to go out and start adding these books to their family library or their classroom library, how many books are available at the moment?
Well, let's see. I have them all in front of me. We have Harry's First Martial Arts Lesson. So if the child is interested in martial arts, they should get this book. And it goes about telling about focus and self-control, and it's not just about punching and kicking. We have Harry Gets in the Swing of Things. And this is about perseverance. So no matter how many times you fall down, you get back up and try again until you accomplish your goal. We have I Quit, which is about the overcoming anger and envy. That's also not about giving up, but also learning that it's okay to fail and to try again. We have What Should I Do, which is all about making good choices and honesty and integrity. We have Harry and the Broken Toy, which is about responsibility and being grateful and having manners when you're at other people's homes. We have a very first book, which is The Day I Met My Best Friend, which is a prequel to Harry's First Martial Arts Lesson. Awesome. And this is when Harry moved into Sunshine City, and he's scared, and he's nervous, and he doesn't know if anyone will like him because he's a little strange. He's a lizard with red hair, and he has an overactive imagination, so he was worried that no one would get him. And all of a sudden, he's got an amazing group of friends because he let them in and he was himself. which is nice. And that's The Day at My Best Friend. And then we have I'm Not Afraid, which is all about overcoming fear and learning the difference between real fear and false fear.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think I want to take this time to ask you a question. We talked a little bit about what martial arts is and what it isn't, but I'm imagining that not all martial arts classes in schools are made equal. If a parent is interested in getting their kids into martial arts, or if a kid is expressing an interest, what kind of things should a parent look for to make sure that the school that they're enrolling their kid in is a great one that's focusing on the right things?
That is an awesome question. When they call a martial arts school, or even pop in and see, they should ask questions like, do they have a character development program they're using? And if they're not, they can suggest blackbeltprinciples.com, which is Harry and Friends. But they should be teaching character development with the children and not just the punching and kicking. They have to have the mental teaching along with the physical teaching. They need to see how the instructor engages with the children of all ages. Do they sit there and scream and yell at the kid like military? Or are they actually engaging with the student and taking the time to get down on their knees and help the child overcome whatever issue that they're having? So a lot of the time you'll find instructors who are just insanely amazing with children, and they will take the time to talk to the child. They don't stand above the child. They come down to their level, so the child is creating that bond with them and having that trust. And because a lot of times when you are bringing a student to martial arts, they are coming there for more self-discipline or more focus, or they're being bullied and they need a little more confidence. And so they're already scared, and this is a new place. So you're wanting to look for an instructor who is open-armed and say, hey, I'm safe. It's a good place. You can trust me. Let's help you overcome these issues. And that's what you want to look for in a martial arts school.
Wonderful. And if folks want to find out more about the adventures of Harry and Friends, where can they go?
Oh, you can go to my website. It's adventuresofharryandfriends.com. You can also go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and look up my name, Sarah Beliza Tucker, and I am on both.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking to the author of the Adventure of Harry and Friends series, Sarah Tucker. Sarah, thanks for taking us on this little adventure out into the ocean with you.
Thank you for coming along.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Jared Bowl. He'll be here to celebrate his middle grade fantasy novel. It's called Good Oliver Dooley and the Palace of the Keepers. That's the next episode of the podcast. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we'd love for you to be a guest on the podcast. Being a guest is fun. It's easy. And it doesn't cost a thing, giving you a chance to tell thousands and thousands of people about your fantastic children's book. All you need to do is go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page, and then scroll on down to Be a Guest. Oh, you'll also see on that drop-down menu that right underneath Be a Guest, you can select Certified Great Read Program. That'll let you know how you can submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel. And if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Certified Great Read. And with that status comes a number of really, really powerful tools that can help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month. Did you realize when you started writing your children's book that there are literally thousands of books published every single month? I bet you didn't. I had no idea before I started the podcast. Hey, another way we can help you stand out from that crowd is being part of our monthly promotion program. We'll celebrate your book with commercials here on the podcast, with messages to our 80,000 plus social media followers, and also display your book on our network, a nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. We have billboards in Boston, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Sacramento, Albany, New York, Toledo, Ohio, and Hermiston, Oregon. Just imagine all those eyes on your fantastic book. Learn all about it by going to readingwithyourkids.com, clicking on the Authors Click Here button, and scrolling on down to our various services. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Sarah Tucker. Please be sure to check out The Adventures of Harry and Friends. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Skylar Strauss. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.